Well, Professor of Constitutional Law at State University of New York, Mark Meirowitz, joins us live now. Mark, thank you very much for talking to us here at TRT World. What's your assessment of Mark Carney's achievement here, given that he's a political novice? What are indeed his strengths?
Well, look, first of all, this anti-U.S. tirade is going to get him nowhere. And secondly, the best approach for Carney, and maybe he's a neophyte, whatever he is, but he's a businessman. He's not only a businessman, he's a hugely successful businessman, wealthy businessman with big holdings. And actually in the debates for prime minister, his opponents criticized him for being a businessman. But that's exactly the way he needs to approach President Trump, another businessman. So I think he needs to stop this anti-U.S. thing, which helped him to get elected, and start working on the relationship between Canada and the United States and dealing with the tariffs. Now, whether the tariffs are right or wrong is a separate issue. There's a lot of criticism in the United States about those tariffs, especially because of the effect on the markets. But, if Carney wants to be successful, he needs to go talk to Trump and work together like we always did between Canada and the United States, businessman to businessman. That, to me, is a solution. It continues with the tirades and the comments about Canada is going to stand hard, but Canada cannot challenge the United States. Not a chance. And by the way, Trudeau, who is his predecessor, destroyed Canada. So we just have to say thank you to Trump for taking him out and giving Carney a chance to achieve the prime ministership, which he would have never gotten without Trump's intervention. And this whole thing about the 51st state, I think is just, there's nothing to it. So the point is, businessman, go meet with businessman, work it out, and let's get back on track as two friends, Canada and US.
When you say with regards to the 51st state, there's nothing to it, what do you mean there's nothing to it when Trump continues to insist that that is indeed what he wants?
Well, you're right about that, but he wants, Greenland, and he wants Panama, and he has all kinds of things that he wants and all kinds of policies that he wants. And the truth of the matter is that some of the things he campaigned on, he's been able to achieve in connection with the border. On the other hand, he's got lots of pushback from the courts. So it's kind of a mixed bag. So Trump continues to discuss what's on his mind. And I have to say that actually is a very interesting point, because it's confusing to figure out what he really wants to do and what he's going to be able realistically to do. And so the same thing with Ukraine, and the same thing with the Middle East, and the same thing with all these issues. It's very, very confusing. So I think that Canada, as the 51st state, has, I would say, from 0 to 100, zero possibility, maybe minus 100. That's never going to happen. It can't happen. And maybe Carney is the solution to maybe put that one aside and say, let's work this out and work a deal. Because after all, Trump is the art of the deal, and Carney's a big, successful businessman. And Trump respects business people. So I think that that's the pathway. But Canada's not going to be a state. I don't think so, ever.
How spooked do you think Canadians are by President Trump right now? Because they've certainly been galvanized by his threats, as we've seen in this election.
You are right. The Canadians are hopping mad about Trump. They're so mad about this. It really goes to their pride and to Canada, because it wasn't just Trump who used to say Canada's a 51st state. They've always had this thing, maybe this chip on their shoulders. Years ago, I did a lot of work for Canadian companies, and one of them following the legislation in the United States, the truth was that the Canadians were very worried about American American influence on their magazines, on their news, that actually they were kind of subsumed under American media. They were getting the American media, that they didn't have a chance for their independence as Canada. Really, they're America's greatest friend, the longest peaceful border in the world. And we're going to get there again. Trump took us back a bunch of steps. but I think we got to get back on track. So you know what? I think the Canadians have to just be a little less sensitive about this and let him say what he wants to say. Most Americans don't buy it. In fact, I don't think any Americans agree with this idea. We have enough kind of things to deal with as a 50 states that we don't need another state the size of Canada, which you could never integrate into America anyway, because you've got the provinces. How do you do this? Honestly, I'm just getting a headache thinking about it. So I don't think it's practical.
Mark, we'll leave it there on that optimistic note that things will get back on track. Thank you very much as ever.
It's a sure thing.
Thank you, Mark. Mark Meirowitz speaking to us there live from New York.